We've covered the worst, so we're looking at the best. Yep, it's the best B plots, and I gotta say, this was much more difficult to narrow down than the last one.
No, wait! It's my birthday, isn't it?
Bill, it's a weather balloon, and your birthday's, was last week. Sorry, Bill. Happy belated birthday.
Hey folks, welcome to Squirrel Tactics. Like, subscribe, check out the Patreon, let's do this. So, like I said, this was not easy to narrow down, and it was even more difficult to try and rank, but keep in mind that this is simply my opinion. If you agree with some but not others, that's cool. Let us know what we got right and wrong down in the comments. First off, we have a few honorable mentions, such as Dale's suit of armor from Ceci n'est pas un king of the hill.
Buddy, you want to stop that?
No, I don't, you armorless jackass. And there's nothing you can do about it.
Lucky Luann and Bobby waiting in line for Brownsville station tickets in Hank Fixes Everything.
Hold on, Bobby. Are you still in school?
7th grade.
Then run along, Professor.
What about the code of the line?
The code acknowledges that the children are our future.
And the Big Bad Can from Aisle 8A.
Hey, man, they know what you doing in the old trash, man. They don't think I'm not gonna call 911, man.
Everything I love is taken from me.
What are you talking about? She was my can.
Alright, that's out of the way, so let's get started with number 13. The Miseducation of Bobby Hill, the B-plot, Bill Takes a Flight. So Dale, for whatever reason, has 19 weather balloons, or as he calls them, a balloonist dozen, which reminds Boomhauer of a true event featuring such balloons.
Hey, man, how about that dang old dude, man? True story, man. They got all them balloons up and down on the lawn chair, man. They're going around 16,000 feet, man. That on Bruce Dern, but played him in a dang old movie, man.
He is referring to Larry Walters, or Lawn Chair Larry, who in 1982 used 42 helium-filled weather balloons attached to a lawn chair to reach an altitude of 16,000 feet during his 45-minute, 20-mile-long flight. And yeah, he survived. He used a BB gun to pop some of the balloons, allowing him to descend steadily. As far as the Bruce Dern movie he's talking about, yeah, I've got no idea, but this gives Dale, Bill, and Boomhauer the idea of trying it themselves. So Bill gets all gussied up and decides to take the ride, with the plan being that he first be lifted about 4 feet to the air, but held in place by sandbags used to weigh him down.
Remove the sandbags, Boomhauer. It works! It works!
Oh, it's so beautiful up here.
And yeah, that part worked, with the next step of the plan being for Bill to drift 30 feet to the air once the ropes were released, and if need be, Dale would shoot the balloons to lower him back down, or Bill if he showed signs of high altitude pulmonary edema.
You're not doing it right.
Except, yeah, it didn't work, because of course it didn't work. Firstly, that's not enough balloons to do the job. I may be a squirrel and we're not the best when it comes to physics. I mean, how many little squirrel airplanes have you ever seen? Yeah, exactly. But even I know he would need more balloons than that to pull this off. And secondly, Bill freaks out, and that's what really causes the issue. Him moving around and throwing the balance off, leading him to falling and being dragged by the rope as the bad year blimp carried him away.
Man, no Bill gone, man.
And thus began Bill's less than excellent adventure, which included clutching onto a roof while trying to get a little girl to get him some help, even having to go so far as to claim that he's Santa to help his cause.
Goodbye, Santa.
Then becoming stuck in a tree and being used as a piñata by a group of teenagers.
Oh, no.
Oh, no! Quit it! No!
Luckily, by the end of the episode, Bill does make it back to the alley, though he's a little worse for wear. But he does still have the chair and one of the balloons, so that's something.
You're darn.
A funny premise and several great lines make this one stick out and reminds us why the three guys should not be left alone to their own devices. Number 12, Night and Deity. The B-plots, Hank and a pigeon make it through the night. Yeah, this one was a twofer because the episode had two great B-plots. The first being Bill and Boomhauer helping a pigeon they discovered having a bad trip due to the chemicals put out by the local exterminator.
He's tripping, and pretty hard. Come on, we'll get you through this, little fella.
So they take him back to Boomhauer's, and it's actually pretty funny and slightly heartwarming how the two try and make the pigeon's night as easy as possible.
Yeah, man, you're at home, you're just chilling with your lady on your desk, that little beard under the sky, man. You did poop on my car, but we're gonna talk about that later, don't worry about it right now,
Meanwhile, in the other B-plot, Hank is Luann's designated driver for her 21st birthday. Well, until he forcibly gets drunk and then proceeds to play Foreigners I Want to Know What Love Is more than other people would like.
I put this song on, it's mine.
You've played the same damn song 6 times in a row.
A new rule. You can't listen to my song anymore.
Hank later wakes up in the backseat of a car at a terrible time, though to be fair, it's better he not wake up when they were, further involved.
This is beautiful. Where are we?
It's where I park when the world doesn't make any sense to me.
Does this make any sense?
Meanwhile, Bill and Boomhauer jam out to what appears to be a song called Flower Child, though several different artists have been listed as the performers, so who knows. And the next morning, both plots get resolved as Hank makes it home, though not necessarily into the house, and Bill lets the pigeon loose, having made it through its bad trip.
That was a hell of a night.
This was an opportunity to see a fun drunk Hank, and they did not disappoint. The Bill and Boomhauer plot seems kinda odd, but when you think about it, yeah, I could see them nursing a pigeon through a bad trip. I mean, it was just a helpless pigeon, not like, the bad kind of pigeon.
Yes, that sounds like a very good plan. But when do we kill all the kids?
Funny and entertaining all around, these plots were great. Number 11, Father of the Bribe, the B-plot, Dale's radio station. So Dale buys a pirate radio setup from a swap meet and decides to start his own radio station. It's primarily Dale spouting conspiracy theories for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
A nefarious government plot to store our nation's silver supply in our mouths. Children, I implore you, rip out your fillings.
I don't know how he keeps that up, and I must say he does have some interesting theories.
All right, let's see. I told you about sperm count lower in soft drinks. Told you about supercuts cataloging DNA. I'm running dry here. Wait, is there any concrete evidence that Hawaii actually exists? No, I already covered that.
Eventually, one of his sponsors, Dale's Dead Bug,
Dale's Dead Bug. Dale kills him, D-E-A-D, dead,
decides that they have a problem with his content and pull their advertisements, which is either Dale making up a reason to finally wash his hands of sitting behind a microphone for every minute of every day, or he's been up for way too long and in his sleep-deprived delirium, he just believed that Dale's Dead Bug was an actual separate entity, but either way, he sells the station to Mexican interests.
Well, folks, earlier I made some comments that were deemed insensitive by one of my key sponsors, Dale's Dead Bug, who pulled all his ads, coward. And I can't drum up any news sales since I'm stuck behind this microphone 24 hours a day. So, I have been forced to sell the station to Mexican interests. Viva la Revolucion! Octavio.
Not gonna lie, I wish he'd at least have kept the radio station part-time, because it would have been a funny running gag to pop up from time to time, but this was a great B-plot. Number 10, Tears of an Inflatable Clown, the B-plot getting Lucky to the hospital. Lucky is a rather divisive character in the show, though personally I love him, but a lot of people hate him. However, nobody ever accused him of being the shiniest apple in the bunch, and proof of that can be seen where Luann comes comes to the guys to help her get Lucky to the hospital after he decided it was a smart idea to try catching a frisbee made out of barbed wire.
Sorry, but I don't do hospitals. Everyone I know that's died has been shot in the woods and then taken to a hospital where they died. No hospital.
Don't worry, I'll get him there.
It wasn't too smart to make a frisbee out of barbed wire in the first place, but whatever. Peggy and the guys go over to Lucky's in order to physically force him to go to the hospital if necessary. And yeah, it's necessary, because Lucky ain't going down without a fight, and he's able to get away from all 4 of the guys.
Come on, Lucky, we're doing this for your own good. Hey, man, what's going on? I can't get a grip.
He keeps slipping away. It's like happiness.
Granted, he was only able to do so because he coated himself in Vaseline, which, one, must have been rather uncomfortable because I cannot stand having Vaseline on me. 2, it shows quite a bit of forward thinking to grease yourself up more than Groundskeeper Willie before heading into an AC vent.
Lunch, Lady Doris. Have you got any grease?
Yes, we do.
Then grease me up, woman!
Okie dokie.
Also, he was just lying on the couch, so he got Vaseline all over the damn couch. Why would you do that? That part, that's a terrible idea. And speaking of terrible ideas, if they couldn't get a grip, why not just grab his shorts? They've got pockets and belt loops. There's plenty of things to grab onto.
Ah, this is Vaseline.
No hospital.
Dang it.
We'll never catch him, and he'll never rash. Genius.
Eventually, they got smart and just waited for Lucky to get himself all liquored up on mint mouthwash, no less. I know I mentioned this in my video on Lucky, but it's just odd that a bar would allow someone to get drunk on mouthwash they brought with them. I mean, I hope he brought it with him. Dear God, they don't serve mouthwash, do they?
No hospital.
Now you can come quietly, or we'll wait until you pass out. Your call.
Yeah, they wait for Lucky to pass out, and mission accomplished. This B-plot gave a great example of how Lucky may not be the book smartest, but he certainly was rather street smart. Resourcefulness and humor, that's the ingredients for a good B-plot. Number 9, Mutual of Omaha. The B-plots, Peggy and Luann get stranded at a rest stop, Bill and Boomhauer decide to deep fry everything, and Dale gets himself into the bee business. That's right, 3 B-plots from the same episode, and all 3 are surprisingly solid. After Hank forgets to pay the insurance, Peggy and Luann get stranded at a rest stop after Hank calls and informs them of not being insured.
Okay, we won't drive. Are you serious? I promise we won't drive.
And yeah, it does not take long before it's surprisingly Luann who starts getting on Peggy's nerves.
From now on, let's talk like this.
Apparently Luann keeps this up, and after a while, annoyance mixed with irritation and hunger led to Peggy telling her to stop, which then leads to a conversation about dinner and the realization that the vending machine doesn't take $20 bills, which is the only thing that Peggy has. They also contemplate eating a squirrel, and I just have no comment for that. I mean, we don't eat you.
Isn't it a beautiful night, Aunt Peggy?
Luann, just stop it.
The next day, they're hungry enough to use a log as a battering ram, but they get nowhere.
3, 2, 1, soup's on!
However, they do realize if they slam into the machines hard enough, some food will fall out, and they use this tactic when necessary.
How's your shoulder? I could use a Coke.
Root beer?
By the end of the episode, they're still at the rest stop, and it doesn't sound like things ended too well for them from the message that Peggy left on the machine.
Oh good. The police are here. Uh-oh. Oh no. No, officer, the vending machine was on its side when we found it!
Now, while all that's going on, Bill and Boomhauer discovered the magical world of deep frying by trying a deep fried banana, which they immediately fall in love with.
Oh, this banana's delicious. The monkeys must never find out.
Yeah, deep frying does typically make things better. Have you ever had chicken fried bacon? It's amazing. Though I do need to point out that what type of batter you use is rather important. So they start frying at Bill's house, and it doesn't take them long to start frying other foods. Start with a candy bar.
If we can fry a candy bar, We can fry anything.
And eventually they move on to things like double frying fried chicken. However, they also keep turning up the heat because, well...
Tell you what, man, talking about them dang old more hotter than more better, man.
And because they weren't paying attention and let some of the oil come in contact with the flame, yeah, they had themselves a grease fire. But luckily by that point, Hank had snapped out of whatever was going on with him, and though this was the sight that awaited him when he finally looked outside to see what all the screaming was about... he still hauled Bobby outside with him and handled the situation like Hank always does. Also, Boomhauer isn't acting very Texas Rangery here. He couldn't even put out a simple fire. Pathetic.
Mr. Doltree's on fire!
That'll happen. Roll, Bill, roll!
And that brings us to Dale and the bees, who he originally wanted to use as a source of honey to sell, but when he found out from some customers that bee stings had become all the rage, or bee's knees if you will, as a natural remedy cure-all.
Okay, so do you want to get up on the table? Or would you rather have me shake it up and dump some out on you?
Fun fact, bee venom has been used for thousands of years to treat things like inflammation, as well as a laundry list of other ailments. And apparently it has benefits when used properly. Dale, however, just wants to make a buck, so he more or less becomes a snake oil salesman, claiming that bee stings can cure everything from toothaches to ADD.
My neck's kind of stiff.
8 bee stings. You?
I feel fine.
6 bee stings. You?
Planter's wart.
Ew! 13 bee stings.
Later on, Dale falls and hurts his arm, but fear not, because he has a natural cure that'll take care of his injury lickety-split, or so he believes.
Do you need to go to the doctor?
1 doctor. I'm gonna go to about 2,000 buzzing ones.
So Dale gives himself several bee stings, but isn't too happy when he realizes that he's lost feeling in his arm after Joseph pokes it with a stick, and that's about as gribble of a statement as I can make. Oh, and of course Dale blames the bees and pisses them off because he's Dale.
Your venom did nothing. You betrayed me. Well, you may have destroyed my arm, but my legs are still feeble yet functional. Ah. Oh.
Hank ends up stepping in for Dale as well, telling him to run to his van and hide, causing the bees to fly away. Though this does give Dale time to hallucinate Joseph and remember that he's allergic to 2 things: shellfish and bees. Kinda surprised this didn't come up earlier. Dale is, as you can expect, a little worse for wear, but Hank takes him to the hospital, though not before Dale shuts his finger in the car door.
Stupid bees. Look at that big purple one trying to get in.
3 really good and entertaining plots in one episode, and like I said before, ranking these was really hard, and this one might deserve to be higher, but even as the number 9 entry, they're pretty damn good. Number 8, The Fat and the Furious. The B plot, Peggy distracts Bobby from a hot dog eating contest. So yeah, I love Peggy in this one. When Bill becomes a semi-pro competitive eater, Peggy knows full well that it's best to keep Bobby away, lest he decide to go down that route, and with that boy's metabolism and lifestyle, that's an early grave waiting to happen. This includes destroying something that Bobby built in shop class that he wanted to show to Hank.
Is he eating?
Let me see that.
What did you do?
Obviously, you need to work on your adhesives. I wouldn't show this to your father just yet, but good try.
As well as taking him to an outlet mall to get him out of town when the eating contest was going on. Though this didn't go exactly how she had planned, since somebody at the county fair decided to break the bank on buying billboards.
Oh, good. Here's another sign. Mom, what are you doing?
Well, you know, it just occurred to me, I have never taken you fishing.
This does lead to Peggy teaching Bobby how to fish, though it's a tad difficult considering they don't have any fishing equipment. But Peggy ain't gonna let something like that stop her.
Fishing rods. Have you ever seen a bear use a fishing rod? Here, use the tackle God gave you. Look, there's a sturgeon. Slap it out of the water, Bobby.
Where? I don't see it.
Oh, you're scaring him away with all your talking.
And at the end of the episode, we see that persistence apparently does pay off. And if nothing else, Bobby learned a new skill that I'm sure he quickly forgot about. A great Peggy B plot that gave us the fishing scenes if nothing else, which are hilarious. This one definitely deserves to be on the list. Way to go, Peggy. Number 7, Arlen City Bomber, the B plot. Bobby gets a corn chip fresh off the line. Yep, more Lucky, but it's hard to beat a Lucky Bobby team up, especially one that starts with a clear Tom Petty reference.
You ain't tasted nothing till you've tasted a corn chip right off the line.
Oh, someday I would like to try that.
I'm going to help you run down that dream, Bobby.
By the way, fun fact, this is the closest the show ever was to using a Tom Petty song that was actually sung by Tom Petty, seeing as 2 of his songs appeared on the show, Free Falling during the credits to Old as the Hills, and Rebels during Khan's exploits in Redneck on Rainy Street. But as you can tell, those are both cover versions. Anywho, Lucky takes Bobby out to the corn chip plant, however they're denied access, seeing as the factory isn't open to the public, even if they had previously worked at one in Waco. So they have to head back home, with Lucky getting the wheels turning on a plan to achieve his goal.
Don't worry, Bobby. I'll think of something.
But where are we going?
Home. Thinking takes time.
After 2 days of thinking, they head back out, with Lucky explaining that his plan is to climb the fence and get Bobby a chip. Which, I mean, that's basically his idea, but it's a little trickier than that. The first step in this plan is for Lucky to get over the fence, which goes according to plan, apparently.
It took you 2 days to think of that?
I had to cover all the angles.
Security run over and end up taking him to the supervisor after Lucky starts using words like pain and suffering. And we get to the second part of Lucky's plan, where he blames the company for his injuries but offers a cheaper alternative to a lawsuit that makes everything go away.
But you climbed our security fence.
That attractive nuisance is what I call Exhibit A. Now, I could sue you. My current quote is $53,000. Or...
And then we get to part 3 of the plan. Bobby gets a chip straight off the line in exchange for Lucky not suing the company for the injuries he sustained on their property. It's not the most ethical plan, but boy howdy did it work.
Oh, my God.
Ain't it the truth? Bobby, can you drive a stick shift and keep me awake?
A great team up between Lucky and Bobby, as they typically were, and we got to see just how far Lucky was willing to go to achieve a goal. Yeah, this B-plot gets overlooked way too often. Number 6, Unfortunate Son, the B-plot. Dale gets a falcon. Yeah, this one is pretty simple. Dale buys a falconer's glove from the VFW garage sale. More specifically, it supposedly belonged to Herman Goering, and Dale may have paid for it with prepaid phone cards. This leads Dale to getting a falcon, who isn't as good at doing tricks as Dale had expected.
Falcon, do a loop-de-loop?
Yeah.
A barrel roll?
Yeah.
Scratch that.
Oh.
A reverse barrel roll.
Oh.
Then back to the glove.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Sha-sha-sha. Ta-da.
He figures out that, shocker, animals need to be trained. So he supposedly trains the falcon and also learns that falcons are hunters. Which, yeah, that's pretty common knowledge, but even after training, the falcon still leaves something to be desired when it pertains to doing tricks or following directions.
What's a vole?
Don't know. Let's find out. Falcon, bring us back a vole. Sha-sha.
No. Hey. It's mine.
So Bill's a vole.
By the way, voles are small rodents. They're kind of like hamsters or lemmings, and most people know them better by their nickname, the field mouse. Anywho, Dale lets the falcon go in the woods, but kept the glove because it kept his hand warm and his beer cold. And yeah, it looks cool, but then the falcon ends up showing back up right as Bill is trying to start a lively debate.
What is your favorite kind of sausage? Chicken and apple? Breakfast patty? Italian? Spicy Italian? Sweet Italian?
He found his way home.
The correct answer to best sausage, by the way, is boudin, with Pittsburgh hot links a close second. And I gotta say, I just love watching Bill get attacked by a falcon, so much so that I think we should take another look, this time in slow motion. Okay, yeah, that's equal parts hilarious and yet somehow terrifying. But the B-plot itself was a great running joke that deserves to be remembered. Number 5, Pregnant Pause. The B-plot, Dale becomes a bounty hunter. Just like how a bad B-plot has Dale acting out of character, here we see Dale very much in character. When he overhears a conversation about hunting humans at a shooting range, let's just say it piques his interest.
You're telling me there's a poorly trained quasi-legal police force that operates with few, if any, government controls? It's about time.
So he takes a course on bounty hunting at the Econo Suites, which I'm guessing is mostly made up of a video, and it's clear that Dale is interested in hunting humans, but more than that, he's interested in that hat.
Now, we don't have much time, so let's get right to it.
Dale takes the class and passes the test, which I'm guessing is shorter than the actual 250 question version. Therefore, he graduates and receives his long-coveted hat. I mean, it is a nice hat, I suppose.
Congratulations, class of Thursday, AM. You may now call yourselves bounty hunters.
So, hat on head, Dale heads on down to the local bail bondsman to pick up a bounty. But even though he volunteers for every bounty that's available, other hunters keep getting them, and yeah, that makes sense as the bail bondsman explains.
You're just some deluded bug sprayer who took a 4-hour course, learned a few chokeholds, and got a hat.
You are familiar with my credentials, yet you still refuse to give me a case?
Out of pity, he's given the bounty on Jimmy Hallstrom, a man who's wanted for unpaid parking tickets, which should be a slam dunk, but, well, we're dealing with Dale. And his first attempt goes about as well as we all expect it to.
Arlen Florist, I've got some long stem roses for Jimmy Hellstrom.
After borrowing Lady Bird to act as a distraction for some dogs, he gets into the house, but we learn rather quickly that Dale and Jimmy ain't too different from each other.
Freeze! Get! Easy. Easy.
I'm cool, man.
Get! Easy. Easy.
I mean, seriously, they may as well be staring into mirrors. They're so much alike. It's like if Dale was being hunted by Dale.
Why are your arms shaking, Mr. Bounty Hunter, if that is your real name? Getting tired?
Yes, very tired.
Nice hat.
Back at you.
And possibly the funniest part is that after the standoff, at the end of the episode, we see that Dale didn't even arrest the guy. And instead, they wind up sitting on the couch watching what's happening and eating SpaghettiOs.
More SpaghettiOs?
It's fun when we get to see more of Dale, and that class has several quotable lines. Plus, the B plot helps wrap up the A plot, which is typically a good thing. Yeah, overall, this was just a great B plot. Number 4, Uncool Customer. The B plot, Hank just wants a meatloaf sandwich. So, Hank reads about a new restaurant opening up where a polygamous compound used to be, and he decides to try it out, which is how he gets introduced to the Arlen Barn.
The Arlen Barn, best meatloaf in the county. And now serving sandwiches.
He gives it a shot, orders his meatloaf sandwich, but he finds an issue when it comes to finding somewhere to sit.
What's the procedure to get a table?
Well, you just sit wherever there's an open chair. We're not she here, it's a barn.
Yeah, no, screw that. I'm with Hank here on the whole communal seating thing. I do not want to sit next to or have to interact with strangers while I eat. Especially since it typically ends with people screaming and run away due to, well, you know, the whole talking squirrel thing. I guess if you're not ready for it, it might be a bit jarring, like communal seating. Hank finds a spot and gets a sandwich, and apparently it's amazing. Not quite amazing enough to make up for the kid taking food off his plate, but still pretty amazing.
How is it?
Well, let me put it this way. This table smells like a diaper, and this is still the best meal I've had in years.
She loves chips.
It's so amazing that he makes several attempts to eat at the restaurant without having to deal with the seating issues. Firstly, by inviting all the guys out to join him.
Hank, I'm honored that you'd want to spend a weekend meal with us.
No offense, Bill, but I just need you guys as a buffer. The only table that's ever open is the big table, and I want to be surrounded.
Still honored.
And even though they managed to get one of the smaller side tables, they had to beat a pregnant woman to it, Bill still finds a way to screw up the experience for Hank because, well, you know, Bill's gotta be Bill.
Your surname Babcock?
No, it's Dotrieve.
Huh. You look like you're a kin of the Lubbock Babcocks.
Tell me about them.
Well, there's Johnny Babcock, he's a racist. Then there's Donita, she works for the water department.
His next idea is to get Peggy and Bobby to go with him so that he can sit between them, but they have their own A-plot going on, so that was a no-go.
Hey, you know what would make me happy? A meal at the Arlen Barn with my family strategically placed around me. Now, I warn you, people will try to talk to you, and that's fine. Just don't pull me in.
And he finally gets the idea that if he wants the sandwich, but he doesn't want to have to deal with people, well, then he could just get it to go. Yeah, that makes total sense. But unfortunately, even that one doesn't work out as planned.
That won't be necessary. I'd like it to go.
Sure. If you'll just have a seat, we'll bring it right out to you.
Never mind.
Me personally, I'd just stand off to the side, but Hank says screw it and just keeps trying to devise a plan. Keep in mind that this was before food delivery apps, so he couldn't just get DoorDash, but you know who he could call? Octavio. Yep, Hank hires Octavio to go get him a meatloaf sandwich, and though it may not be delivered in the condition he'd prefer, Hank ate it anyway.
What the?
They gave it to me and had a bite out of it, you know.
A fun little background story about a quest to get a sandwich. This is a rare occasion where Hank took the back seat, but he still ended up stealing the show. Number 3, Happy Thanksgiving. The B-plot, Dale searches for a place to smoke at the airport. This one was pretty simple, but still great nonetheless. While stranded at DFW Airport, Dale searches for a place to smoke, but DFW doesn't have anywhere inside where smoking is allowed. His first try was the Admiral's Lounge, where he got shut down pretty quick.
I'm sorry, Admiral. There's no smoking in the terminal building.
You're not sorry, and I'm not an admiral.
He then tried to hide inside one of those cars they park in the shopping areas before getting caught by a security guard. And it's probably best he did, because otherwise Dale may have been the one to do some catching.
Yeah.
Get the hell out of there. There's no smoking in the airport.
He finally finds a door leading outside the terminal, however, it's a no-entry door, so it doesn't open from the outside. Meaning that Dale found somewhere to smoke, but he's also trapped outside in a winter storm that's bad enough to shut down an airport.
Admiral in distress!
Luckily for Dale, after several hours, he gets noticed by Con, who actually does the right thing and helps him. I guess Con had some kind of holiday spirit in him for once.
4 hours stuck on the tarmac. I look out window, what do I see? A frozen griddle.
The only thing that kept me going was my will to smoke again. And the ashtrays from an Alitalia flight.
A simple little quest that ends up being better than it had any right to be. This B-plot is pure Dale and sadly makes way too much sense. Number 2, Fun with Jane and Jane. The B-plot, the guys deal with Buck's emus. Buck tells Hank that he needs him to take care of his emus, and by take care of, I don't mean feed.
You gotta run to my farm, feed my emus for me. Here, feed them with this.
I'd like to point out that that gun is the same one that Debbie killed herself with. I guess Buck kept it as a souvenir. I know it was his originally, but still, that's kind of weird. Anywho, Hank enlists the help of the guys, and it really makes sense to bring in Dale considering he kills animals for a living, including at least one horse that looked at him funny. However, even Dale can't bring himself to kill the emus due to them being, and I quote, too majestic.
I can't do it. Yes, I can. No, I can't. It's too damn majestic. Wait, I found the strength. Who am I kidding? Hey, is that one laughing at me? No, he's still being majestic. Or is he?
Hank tells Buck that they took care of the emus anyway, and he hates that he lied to his boss. So the guys try to figure out how to get rid of the birds, which kinda solves itself when Bill has to yet again be Bill and lets them escape from Dale's van. Though the guys do try to stop them, but yeah, they quickly learn the same lesson Australia did when they lost the Emu War.
Why does everything I love run away from me?
Because you have to pet everything like an idiot.
They get at least one back because they have it tied in the bed of Hank's truck when he comes across Luann selling jelly and jam for her cult, and she gets to ride in the back with it, but hey, it gets her away from the cult.
If your sorority has to sell jelly to buy beer, you're drinking too much. Now get in the back, I'm taking you home. And no, you are not tripping. That is an emu.
You know, with most of the emus being loose and unaccounted for, everything should be fine. Well, until Buck shows up and wants Hank to produce the emu corpses because his insurance won't pay out otherwise.
I need you to dig up them emu and drop them off at my insurance company. Dang pencil pushers won't pay my claim without the corpus delicti. Apparently my grief ain't proof enough.
Of course, Hank can't do that because he doesn't know where they are, and yeah, they're not dead. So Hank's grand plan is to go to a butcher and buy enough emu meat to make up the 4 emus, which by his calculation is about 75 pounds of meat. But this doesn't work because who the hell's gonna sell emu?
And, 4 emus. Oh, and could we get him shot, please?
Sorry, we don't carry emu.
Okay, give me 75 pounds of beef. And, you got any extra beaks you could throw in there?
Don't worry, Hank, I got some beaks.
I do have to say that Hank's explanation for his plan isn't the best in the world, but it's probably about the best that someone could think of when they're expected to deliver 4 emus and instead show up with 75 pounds of wrapped beef. I'd also like to point out that $400 for that much meat is pretty damn cheap.
How about this? We didn't want to cruise around town with a truckload of dead emus, so we had them butchered and packaged. Mr. Strickland will buy that, right?
Bill believed you and he was there.
However, before they can turn in the meat, they end up using it to lure the cult members out of their compound by grilling out front, causing the members to quit out of hunger.
Excuse me, are y'all with the cult?
We're not a cult. We're an organization that promotes love.
Yeah, this is it.
And the last we see of the emus, they get their revenge on old Buck Strickland after they attack him while he approaches his car. And though we don't get to see the fallout, the attacks are good enough on their own.
What?
The best B-plots tend to involve different characters interacting with each other, and this one is no exception. It was a strong contender to top this list, but there's one that I just had to put above it. Number 1, Naked Ambition. The B-plot, the guys end up in a mental institution. After Boomhauer stays behind at the lake and somehow ends up tubing all the way to Houston while he's asleep, he wakes up disoriented, dehydrated, and probably with heat stroke, leading to him being placed in a mental institution.
What you doing, man? I'm going that bad way, man. Let me go over there on flip-flops, man. I'm walking across the street like a dang old hot coals, man. I'm doing dogs barking like a dang old dead chicken wouldn't run down with his head cut off, man. Head cut off. Ooh.
He calls Dale to come get him out, which Dale is totally on board with, and he agrees to not tell Hank before heading out to help. Oh, but of course he has to say goodbye to his turtle first.
Oh, come on, where you going? I'm not leaving without my kiss. I can wait. I can destroy you.
Problem is, Dale's idea is to procure a patient's outfit and sneak into the hospital in order to sneak Boomhauer out. But this doesn't work because Dale just gets locked inside with the rest of the patients.
Apparently this door has some sort of anti-opening device. Yeah.
It gets even worse when Dale meets with a doctor, and in his attempt to show that he isn't crazy, he instead shows that the opposite may very much be the case, and he ends up getting committed. Though he may actually be right about the peanut thing. I'm kind of on the fence there.
Which is why so many people are suddenly allergic to peanuts. Peanuts are emitting toxins as an evolutionary defense mechanism. They're tired of being eaten, and now they're fighting back.
So Dale calls Bill to come get them out, letting him know that Boomhauer's in there with him, and yet again they don't want Hank to find out. And how it goes wrong this time is that when Bill gets there to get him out, he instead has himself checked in.
It's just that in the alley, no one cares what I have to say, but here I feel heard and accepted and, dare I say, love.
So now all three of them are stuck in a mental hospital, but at least they get to do arts and crafts, and I gotta say, Boomhauer's got some talent here. And unfortunately, they still will not contact Hank to come get them out, which seems like the smart and easy thing to do.
Why don't we just call Hank?
No, Hank must never know we were in here. Our society stigmatizes the mentally ill. And rightly so, these people are nuts.
Instead, Dale comes up with a terrible plan that would never work, while Boomhauer comes up with a much better plan. So they vote on which one to go with, and Dale is surprised by the results.
All in favor of Boomhauer's plan? I must admit I'm surprised by the results. I figured I had at least my support. Well, what are you gonna do?
Boomhauer's plan was pretty simple. They sneak out hiding in the laundry, and it may well have worked had Bill not blabbed and told his entire therapy group about it, therefore getting them caught. But hey, at least they finally decided that Hank needs to be informed of their situation.
First one to regain consciousness calls Hank.
Hank being Hank, he comes down and immediately handles everything. Boomhauer gets released because they don't see any issues with him. Dale was actually never admitted, so he could have left at any time he wanted, though the doctors did recommend that he stay on the meds they were giving him.
Easier to swallow.
And since Bill checked himself in, like Dale, he could have left at any time, though he apparently decides to stay a few extra days as he sees the therapy being good for him. Though we do not see any changes in his character afterwards, so I suppose that's debatable.
Bill, just get in the truck.
No! I learned in group that I sacrifice my feelings too easily. My feelings are valid, Hank. I'm valid. Oh, I made this for you.
Watching the guys' relationships with each other and how they handle not just the situation, but also each other gives us a better look into their characters, and we get plenty of laughs along the way as well. A heap of classic lines and a fun glance into the guys' dynamic without Hank. This B-plot definitely deserves a top spot. And that's it for our best list. If we forgot any, or you want to share your own list, head on down to the comments and let's hear about it. So until next time, y'all be good to each other out there. We're all in this together.
Live talk radio, people working without a net here. Okay, our next caller from nearby McMainaberry, it must be windy day, is, and this is quite an honor, former Soviet Premier Leonid Brezhnev.